Hello, everybody. Welcome to Josh Dell'Aria's Musical Escapades. My name's Josh Dell'Aria, your host, and as you know, this is the place to find some of the most unknown music and hear what's best about it. Today I'm going to feature a little-known indie country artist by the name of Drew Kennedy, who actually eked his way onto my top 20 last year. Now, I met Drew while I was working at the hotel that I used to work at. I actually checked him into his room. He probably won't remember this, but I did. And he obviously had the guitar slung around his back, and I obviously, whenever I encountered anybody with a guitar slung around their backs, I always asked them if they played music, because usually they do, and I love music, so I wanted to find out more about them. And so I did the same thing with Drew. I looked up some of his music, and I found out that last year he had an album out called At Home in the Big Lonesome, and I was particularly fond of, I think it was the 7th song on that album. It's called Miles to Go. One of the cool things about Drew is that he actually writes a lot about the balance between self-centeredness as a musician and selflessness as a musician, trying to make sure that you don't involve too much of either one. And I think that's kind of cool when you think about it, because like a lot of musicians, obviously they write about themselves and their own experiences, but they don't want to get too wrapped up in themselves that they forget to be able to connect with others. So I think that's kind of cool. I think another thing to look for in this particular song is the clarity that Drew brings in his vocals as well. We've been talking a lot about that in the last couple episodes that we've done, and I think it's, again, really, really important, especially in a song like this where there's not a lot of instrumentation in the background. So without further ado, let me get down to playing it. Again, this is Drew Kennedy, and the song is called Miles to Go.
You can't take the corners on 2 wheels forever, and you can't beat a storm when the asphalt meets the weather, and you can't let the horn be your voice when you're out of control. 'Cause you got miles to go with the wind, or go find a highway that winds, that bends, that climbs up to the sky. Say a prayer for a friend, and now and then send a letter back home. 'Cause you got miles to go, and it's easy between the lines and the curves to turn the beautiful scenery of this life to a blur. So don't let your ride run out the road. You've got miles to go. Keep an eye on the oil, keep your tires inflated, keep some change in your pocket just to give it away, and keep the map in the glove box and cut a path through the sweet unknown. 'Cause you got miles to go, and it's easy between the lines and the curves to turn the beautiful scenery of this life to a blur. So don't let your ride run out the road. You've got miles to go. You've got miles to go, and it's easy between the lines and the curves to turn the beautiful scenery of this life to a blur. So don't let your ride run out the road, 'cause you can't get it back when you're old, and you've got miles to go. You got miles to go. You got miles to go.
So one of the cool things about this song is that it's an allegory. And for those of you who don't really know what an allegory is, the term of allegory is usually used by poets to describe an instance where you say one thing that has one meaning at one level, but at a deeper level it has a deeper meaning. And so that's what Drew is doing here, because he's talking a lot about driving, obviously, and making sure you do all the things to have good driving habits and all that sort of stuff, which we should always do. But he's also comparing that to basically expressing how you should live your life. I'll say it again. You know, he talks about how you can't let the horn be your voice when you're out of control. You can't, you don't want to let it's easy to let the beautiful scenery of this life turn into a blur. Keep an eye on the oil, keep your tires inflated. A lot of those kind of metaphors really just it's just kind of telling you how to live. It's not it's not just how you drive. It's about living life in the same way. So now obviously this is a great metaphor, but I think the other important thing that Drew does in this song is that he includes
Say a
lines
prayer for a friend, and now and then send a letter back home.
So, so the reason why I point out that line is because it actually has nothing to do with driving, or at least it doesn't have to have anything to do with driving. And so, just saying a prayer to a friend and writing a letter back home has nothing to do with actual driving, but it does have something to do with the other end of the metaphor, living your life properly. And what's important about that is that it doesn't beat the metaphor into your head too much so that you get annoyed by it. He does include some other lines to get your focus onto something else for Okay, now, I have to mention this whole idea about clarity of Drew's vocals, because obviously they're very exposed in this song, and I've made mention plenty of times in the past, when an artist is singing a quiet song with not a lot of background instruments, the voice comes out a lot more, and it's a lot more exposed, so it's a lot more open to mistakes. And Drew's clarity of voice here definitely helps him avoid mistakes, and I'll demonstrate that by playing this part of the song.
Keep an eye on the oil, keep your tires inflated, keep some change in your pocket just to give it away, and keep the map in the glove box and cut a path through the sweet unknown.
Yeah, so the thing about this song is that you can clearly hear every word that Drew is saying, and that also I think helps connect with the listener a lot better when every word is clear. I'm not saying that every song needs that necessarily, but I think that if your voice is exposed, you probably need to be pretty clear in your vocals, or else it really sounds like a bad mush. So I think Drew does a good job of this here, and it's definitely one of the things that helps a lot of songs, especially a lot of, again, quiet songs with not a lot of background instruments, to really stand out. Alright, just a couple more quick points from here. I do want to touch on this, the way that Drew goes into the miles to go line, going into the chorus, from the verses. And here's how he does it.
'Cause you got miles to go and it's easy.
Yeah, I like that he goes up the octave right there. It's, it's something that I think a lot of people would do, but I don't know if, I think the way he does it is very, very interesting. And I'm not really sure what it is about it that makes me really drawn to it. It might just be more phrasing and just having the right kind of like an even-keeled dynamics and even-keeled tone and stuff like that. Trying to do pretty much the same thing on both sides of that. But I'm not sure. But it just sounds cool to me. So I wanted to point that out. And then in the final chorus, Drew uses an extra phrase.
Run out the road, 'cause you can't get it back when you're old and you've got miles to go.
And I think that's good in this situation because it just helps kind of draw out that ending a little bit more. I think it actually helps kind of stick with you as listeners in order to kind of like mold it into your brain just a bit more. And just so that's it. It's a really simple song, so it has a really simple explanation. So that's all I got on this song. If you guys do like Drew Kennedy's music, you can check out more from him. Now, all these are things that helped Drew get onto the top 20. back in 2017 last year. And as you all know, as I've been saying for the last 4 or 5 months now, the top 20 of 2018 is coming up very soon. And so if you guys know a song from this year that does a lot of the same things that Drew did, send it over here. You can leave it in the comments below, or you can send me a Facebook message. Facebook page is facebook.com/JoshD'sMusicalEscapades, or you can send it to my email here at JoshDell'Aria'sMusicalEscapades@gmail.com. As always, thank you all for watching, and until next time, go make great music.